welcome to Star Oracle. Today we're doing a reading about 3 doorways, 3 pathways. We are in eclipse season. The second eclipse is happening in a couple days from when I'm recording this, but this is timeless. So just know that energy comes through whenever you are finding this reading. So eclipses are sort of like doorways or passageways into crossing through one part of our lives into another part of our lives. And especially now because the nodes are soon to be moving into Virgo and Pisces. And with that transition, something new is really beginning. We are entering into a new phase of life. So I set the intention today then to kind of look at like these 3 different doors that are opening. What's the key to that? What are blessings and challenges we can expect on the other side of this doorway? And I'll just say a little about this eclipse. Feel free to pick, to go to the timestamps if you don't want to watch this part. But this is a very deep eclipse that is setting us on a trajectory towards our future in a very significant way. There's a lot of indications in that, but beyond the larger outer planetary configurations going on, there's a intense conversation happening. This is a solar eclipse in Libra, and a solar eclipse is a new moon. So essentially it's the dark moon, the darkest phase we experience our moon in, and it's sitting there at the exact same degree as Black Moon Lilith. And that is not actually a body in the sky, like physical. It's actually part of the moon's, like the moon's lunar apogee is what they call it. So it's the part of the lunar cycle of the moon where the moon is farthest away, where it's in its darkest place in the sky. So if you think about this, it's very significant. It is kind of like entering into the womb almost, the way that this is playing out. And it's a eclipse in Libra, so that's ruled by Venus. And Venus is in Scorpio, which is another place of a lot of darkness and of uncovering and of looking at the taboo and things that we would rather repress, or places we've held shame in our lives. So there's a lot playing here that is speaking to our inner well of the unconscious, the things that we've repressed, the things that we have not wanted to show others, and really wanted to create a sense of intimacy with ourselves, or in relationship most likely, but we have a relationship with ourselves first and foremost, right? So creating safety to be able to begin to have some of that come to the surface in a way that is safe for us. And yeah, it's also being held in this beautiful way by Venus being in this grand water trine with Mars and Saturn. So it's almost like the more masculine archetypal planets with Mars and Saturn, Mars being the masculine and Saturn being kind of father figures, authority figures, the Chronos figure, this being holding Venus in this water trine. So they're sitting in these signs that are more nurturing, more passive, more about protection, and really able, I think, to guide this eclipse, or at least kind of offer this protective barrier around this eclipse for a lot of this stuff to come to the surface. So it feels like a very internal moment, but one where there's possibility to share this with others. I don't know, there's a lot happening here. So wherever you are in this process, I just invite you to just offer yourself grace and compassion, and to do your best to remind yourself that it's okay to be in the dark. It's okay if you're afraid. It's okay to seek out others for support at this time. That the more we distract ourselves, the less we'll actually understand and be able to be with our fear in a way that we can offer love and have some like transmutation of the energy, so it can shift and change, so we can begin these processes. So yeah, and there's a larger story happening here with the outer planets, which are forming this configuration right now with the nodes called a kite. And it's incredibly uplifting energy, in my opinion, and one that is steering us in a new direction as a collective. This is something I'm planning to do some writing about more. I have a Substack for anyone who's curious where I do writing mostly on astrology. So you can see that. I think it's usually listed in the description, but I'll put it in there today. So that's something I'll probably write more about. But with that, I'm going to just, leave it there with the eclipse energy. But I just wanted to share that because this is a really important eclipse I think for the entire collective, regardless of where it falls in your chart. This is a big deal. And I wanted to bring like acknowledgement and affirmation for if you are feeling a lot, if you're experiencing things being shrouded or feeling just like it's difficult to find your way in the dark, that you're definitely not alone in that, and that this is a birthing process, truly. And with Black Moon Lilith being there, it could be a lot of things repressed and needing to arise to the surface for healing. Just a lot of opportunity here for a reset and a moving in a new direction on a path that can more greatly hold those things in our lives. So with that, we have 3 piles today to choose from, which are each representing the doorway that you're stepping through or what the store is representing. So we have group 1 and the number 4 here, group 2 with the number 9, and group 3 with the number 1. So feel free to choose whatever pile or piles are calling to you right now. Pause this if you need an extra second to, take a breath and make your decision. And yeah, I will see y'all at your reading. Bye. Hi, group 1. Y'all chose the number 4 here and this card, which is representing what doorway you're passing through at this time or you're about to be moving through. And yeah, let's just begin. I won't go too far into it here. So let's see, you have the eternal child. That's really beautiful. This is making me think of a seed immediately, and it actually almost like is giving a bit of eclipse energy. As I said in the intro, we're a few days out from the eclipse in Libra as I'm filming this. So that's really interesting. So this doorway that you're moving through has something to do about your own eternal child, about the inner child within. It's actually interesting with the 4 here. I was thinking about foundations and more Saturnian things, like longer lasting things, which can feel more adult than child, I guess. So maybe you're feeling a bit of push and pull between the two, between like the monotony of life versus wanting to really express and dive into the things that you enjoyed when you were a child, or just reconnecting with your own inner child. This to me as a doorway is really feeling like that is the seed, and actually that coming through as the first message, like that feeling like that light in the center being a seed is very significant for you to understand and unlock as part of the next journey, or the next part of your journey and on your path. Because without the eternal child, it's like we have no life, right? It's almost we're not like alive truly. Because the eternal child, it's like that fearlessness, and they're not really concerned with death, right? It's more like experiential and interested in the moment. It's so much like jubilance and presence. And so maybe that's something you felt is missing from your life, or you're really ready to call that in more. Whatever it may be, if this is resonating, definitely stick around and we will get some answers here around. We're going to ask, like, what's the key to opening this right now for you? And then we'll look at blessings and challenges on the other side of this doorway. So, for what is the key? I want to use the Black Moon astrology deck here. So for the collective, watching pile 1. What is the key for them to open this door? We've got a couple cards. Mercury retrograde, reinvention, and Chiron healing. Wow. I feel like this is pointing to messiness. Like with Mercury retrograde coming through, like children are not concerned about the messes they create, right? They're not attached to this linear way of moving through life. They're less like, well, they're usually way more intuitive, right? And a Mercury retrograde is that sort of kink in our system that happens various times over the year when Mercury appears to be moving backwards in the sky, right? And a lot of people struggle with it because they are more invested in this linear way of moving through life. And this is the key to opening this door. Is so beautiful to me because it's speaking directly to this like non-linear thinking, and then to the way that that creates healing in our lives, especially around the things that are like our Chiron wounds, which are the places where we're learning how to heal ourselves by healing others through that wound. It's like the things that we carry, the wounds we carry with us that don't necessarily ever truly heal, or we have to sort of sacrifice. Yeah, I've done a few readings about Chiron on my channel. Maybe that interests you. I don't usually say that, so I don't know if that might be interesting for you to check out. But yeah, this is really telling me that to open this door to reach the eternal child, there needs to be a letting go of routine, letting go of whatever you've decided is the right way to do things. Essentially, like there's really a need to release any restrictions upon yourself and allow yourself to be kind of unhinged, honestly. You know, take this however you're feeling it, because that can be very, very different depending on who you are. Like being unhinged to one person might mean like allowing yourself to have ice cream before dinner, right? Whereas like another person there, that means something totally different. But like find where your kind of more Saturnian, like I was saying, foundations are maybe causing you extra restriction. And then understand how loosening those in your life and calling in more of this childlike, playful energy, spontaneous energy, intuitive energy is, you know, calling that in and seeing how that then kind of translates into this opportunity for deeper healing that maybe you've kept yourself a little bit blocked from because, you know, being forced through this sort of linear trajectory in life that has left you feeling a little bit wanting, right? Or not fully fulfilled, or just kind of forgetting a part of you that was really, really important. Yeah, I really love this. Mercury retrograde too can speak to, like I said, not like nonlinear thinking, communicating in ways that are not like logical. So communicating through playing music, through creating art pieces, creating through sitting in nature and just like listening, being really receptive moment to moment. It's like, it's more experiencing than thinking, is kind of what's calling us forward. It's also like, while being in the mess of things, understanding that that's not wrong, and that your life truly does not need to look any specific way in order for it to be right or for it to be good, right? So I feel like a dissolving, or like this key is, I just keep seeing like a key going into a door, but the key is literally like dissolving into the door that goes, but then it's almost like that is what causes the door to open. It's like a softening, right? It's not even like a physical key that you're jamming in to open this door. It's like, no, there has to be a softening and a dissolving of whatever boundaries you've kept up between yourself and this child part of self. And there's a lot, like, if Chiron is also the key, part of the key, it does speak as well to softening boundaries perhaps that you've had around yourself in expressing the Chiron wound, in expressing your hurts in life, to being real with yourself or others as well. This is an eclipse that's happening in Libra, which has to do with our relationships, right? So any relational trauma you've experienced, that might be coming up at this time whenever you're watching this, or particularly through the eclipse, if you're watching it while when I'm first posting. So try as much as you can to separate yourself from the idea of being in a mess as being a bad thing or being wrong, or like things not going to plan, or stuff just kind of crumbling or not making sense, as meaning I'm actually exactly where I'm supposed to be in order to cross through this threshold right now. Yeah. So I'm gonna get some cards about the blessing and challenge coming through this. What deck do I want to use? We're gonna use the Wild Unknown. Watching pile 1. What is a blessing that exists on the other side of this door? And what is a challenge that exists on the other side of this door? Six of Cups. This is like totally reconnecting with the inner child. Okay, so that's a blessing. This makes sense. Okay, and for the challenge, what is the challenge to be met on the other side of this story? Challenges. I also have the Hermit on the bottom here, which I'm actually going to take and set it over here. Just noticed for some reason that the Eternal Child card is number 4. That's so funny. I don't know why I didn't notice that before. Which is interesting because it makes me think that like we have to have an integrated eternal child, inner child. Like we have to have connection with that part of ourselves if we want to have the stable foundation and these roots, right? I think this is actually speaking directly to that as well. The Six of Cups is like that nostalgia, it's that connection to the past so we can grow into the future. It is also connection to like soul family, to deeper soul resonant connections. So if that's something you're seeking in life, I feel very much like stepping through this next doorway is going to be bringing a lot more of those type of people into your experience, especially with this being an eclipse in Libra. Those one-on-one relationships, whether that's people you work with or lovers, romantic partners, friends, there's just an opportunity here as you're crossing through this doorway, you know, using this key, that a blessing that is coming through that is these deeper, more rooted connections that you feel like you've known each other your whole life, right? And with a challenge being this Nine of Pentacles, it makes me feel like the messiness aspect coming up, and like it's really hard, honestly, to tackle many different things in our lives at once, and it's not actually supposed to work that way. Like we're not supposed to have it all together in every moment. like our career, our love life, like our health, all of these things, like our spiritual progression, all those things, like we can take steps, you know, in each one, but if we're being drawn to focus on one or the other, it's just the moment, right? It's of the moment. So if you're struggling, you know, financially or just in the material world in some sense, I would say that is a definite possibility of a challenge through this process, but not one to be considered a failure or to be considered even what you're meant to be focused upon. It's sort of like you're being redirected to understand how much of a blessing this is right now. And I'm feeling like that stuff is protected in your future somewhere. Like it's not gone away forever. It's just a challenge of this moment in time. Especially too, we have the Hermit here, which is interesting to come through as kind of this underlying energy of the challenge and the blessing. It's showing me that through this process, there's a self-illumination going on and self-discovery that's helping to fuel both calling people towards you and maybe the material stuff falling away a little bit. So it's a lot clearer to you now that these folks are coming in, or you're reconnecting to your inner child and understanding what they actually need, which could be completely different from maybe what you've thought or what you've even built up in the past that felt right to you. That's no longer applicable maybe. So it does make sense that this is holding it down, which I think is really powerful actually, and something to remember. So if you have like any practices that make you feel connected to your own light, whether that's, you know, a meditation practice or a writing practice or journaling your dreams down, things like this, the stuff that makes you feel connected to your light, right? And this is the light again. It's like the light in that child is being reflected in this luminous light on the top of the turtle. So if you're feeling the need to go in to hide a little bit through this process, and like I said, this eclipse is very, very dark. We are all in the dark, and it's actually really hopeful to see how much light you're holding inside. And so let this be a reminder maybe in this moment that is there. And if you're not seeing it, to ask for it to be revealed to you or to feel the warmth of it. Yeah, like if you're struggling through this time, like really, I'm just really feeling this light here. Like there are support systems around you in the intangible realms that are wanting to help open your inner eye, I guess, to the reality that this is within you and how close it actually is, and to let that be your grounding in the chaos, or like in whatever messes are happening in your life, or what you would consider a little bit chaotic or just not going your way. But that so many blessings are wanting to come through, especially when it comes to having a lot of emotional fulfillment and reciprocity in connecting to others, and also in revisiting your past. I'm getting a little bit emotional actually thinking about this. This is making me feel like the opportunities that come when we are able to reflect on our parts of our childhood from a place that's more healed, and where we can have greater appreciation and gratitude in a way that we were not able to before, when we are so needing to be present and loving to the wound itself, and needing to be like, you didn't, this should never have happened, like that kind of a process, you know? Like I said, there's a time for everything. So this might be part of that. The Six of Cups here is like getting that giant blessing in your life where like you can actually reflect upon parts of your childhood from a place of feeling peace and of feeling like you can see the love in those places now in a way that you weren't able to before because you're being blocked from it. Yeah, wow, that's really beautiful. So with that, I'm going to leave this reading here. I really hope that this offered some insight and guidance, support, and yeah, whatever you were looking for. I hope that you found a little bit of that here today in this reading. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked this, feel free to subscribe. I'm a really small channel at this point, but I really enjoy doing these readings and would love for more people to get to see them. So that really helps me, and we're sharing it, etc., etc. All the things, you know, all the things. You're all beautiful, smart people. Okay, thank you so much, Group 1. I love you, and hopefully I'll see you all in another reading. Much love. Bye. Hey, Group 2. Welcome to your reading. Y'all chose the number 9 here, and this card, which is currently that's funny that I said currently. Maybe you have multiple doorways to cross through, but this is the one most relevant right now for your path. And yeah, we're just going to look at the key to unlock it, and also some blessings and challenges coming through. So your group, we have the offering. It was funny while I was meditating a bit about your group, I kept seeing like this bird flying with like a branch in its mouth with berries growing off of it, and other creatures, like as it was flying, or I guess other birds, whatever, like coming up and taking parts of the fruit. But then it just kept growing back. And it's really making me feel like there must be something within you that is at this place of overflow and ready to be shared with others. And we also have number 9, which is really, it's the end of a cycle. And it's like you have, you know, reaped everything from that, and it is time to share. It's time to like in the book, actually, it's interesting, it talks about the words sacred and sacrifice, how close they are together, and this idea of, yeah, like giving up, like allowing those things to be made sacred, right? What you have to offer to others at this time is really being called forward as the doorway that you're walking through. So you might, maybe it's fear that's holding you back from walking through this, or not feeling like you're there yet. But if you came across this reading, and if that feels a little bit like it's resonating so far, I would say you are definitely there. And the time to share those things actually is here. And actually, let's just get into the next card, because the next card that we're looking at is, what is the key to open the door? So for the collective watching pile 2, what is the key to actually opening this doorway right now? Oh, we got 3 cards. Okay, we have the 12th house, escape, Capricorn, I use, and Sagittarius, I see. This is so funny. We have, I was thinking Neptune energy a lot with like thinking of that the offering and the things we offer to the collective being so tied to Neptune and the way that we understand oneness, right? And Neptune also being tied to that word sacrifice often. So Neptune rules the 12th house. So that's coming through really strongly with this. And we also see kind of the phases of the moon here. This kind of reminds me of the lunar eclipse. So it might be interesting for you to think back. I'm trying to remember the date of when the lunar eclipse happened. It was a couple weeks ago, mid-September. What themes may have come up since that time for you, or whenever you're reading this, whenever you're watching this, mid-September of 2024, the kind of things that were beginning to bloom within you or come to the surface a little bit at that time. So that might be some part of this key of understanding deeper, like, what is this offering that you're beginning to unfold here? And it feels like, yeah, with Capricorn IUs and Sagittarius, I see like tied to a physical, something that can be built in the physical, something that is tangible, lifelong, lasting, something sustainable that you have visioned, whether that's for your own life or for others, and that has this greater, higher implication, whether that means it's something that is spiritual in nature, philosophical, it could be about becoming some kind of teacher. That could definitely be coming through with Sagittarius here, or a mentor, or expanding minds is what I'm thinking. Expanding minds and hearts with the 12th house, or uncovering like mysteries of the universe. I just heard. That's funny. But in a way that's material, that's like easy for people to understand and grasp or something. So all of these things are keys for you to get to this place of comfort and an offering. This is kind of making me feel like there might be a need to face the things like 12th house here, like that are sort of you're using as like an escape to face the distractions in your life. Notice what you're using to excuse yourself from not blooming, right? To not being ready, feeling ready to do this, and to lean heavily on creating like more structures of the information that you're taking in, like the higher information. Just creating opportunities for learning and for expansion above distraction and like dissolving into like more fantasy realms. Like this is even just making me think like if you're spending a lot of time getting lost scrolling on social media or something, or like hitting like next episode, like allowing it to keep going, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff where it's just like I could be doing something else with my time, and I'm sort of instead dissolving into these 12th house themes, and letting life sort of keep flowing without making progressive steps towards this more expansive state that I really see myself going towards. Yeah. We'll see if more wants to come out with that, but I want to go ahead and draw some cards around what blessings want to come through this. Oh, also I was going to say 9 here. 9th house is also Sagittarius's house, and this is like Jupiter ruled, so that's why I keep saying like expansive. It's a very hopeful place, and sometimes the 12th house can feel really not hopeful, and we can get lost in our fears or illusions. So there's kind of this duality there with that to watch out for. And with Capricorn being in the center, it is this kind of grounding force. So whatever material things feel like offer you a sense of being able to root the truth between these two, root out what is true for you, or make you feel better. You know, sometimes we have to go to this place, actually. Like, we need to actually dissolve for a while to understand something a little bit more clear. So this isn't like judging either one of these houses or placements. It's just saying there's you know, what time is it for you? Like, and how is opening your eyes and understanding, like, in this particular moment, what is the thing that's going to get me to my next tangible step, like in the physical, in my physical life, towards feeling comfortable giving this offering, towards being comfortable with this sacrifice energy. Yeah. Okay, let me draw some cards for, okay, well, let me use this deck. So for the blessings and challenges coming on the other side of this doorway, what can we see for the collective? Watching pile 2. Blessings and challenges. How to expect blessings. Whoa! That's just too many. I'm sorry. We're not going to take these. Let's just do like 1 or 2 at a time here. Hold on. Reset. But that could mean there's a lot of blessings that are coming through this. And I did, what did I say at the beginning? I don't remember. Something about that being one of many doorways. Alright, so blessing is coming through this. Wow, that is very direct. Thank you. Queen of Wands. Oops. Okay, what is the challenge coming through? Challenge is coming through this doorway. The Star and the Hermit. That's so funny. In group 1, the Hermit was at the bottom of the deck, and so I ended up taking it for the central position here too. I think we always, like, collectively, parts of us are really connected to one another on our journeys. I am just like, this is light everywhere that you are bringing to so many people, both on a blessing and a challenge. And it's all about understanding how to allow what is inside to have space, to have the right material moment expression to be revealed to other people. I mean, with the Queen of Wands to come out as the blessing, this is like you standing in your ultimate luminosity, like ferocity, empowerment, fully, like, able to, I'm hearing like healing hands. Maybe that resonates for you if you are some kind of energy worker or something, but it feels very connected to like you are fully tapped in, right? Like you are resourced and you are like that image I was seeing of like the bird flying where it's like the berries just keep growing back. And that's also, it's interesting because that is star card energy as well. There's sort of this for the forever flowing waters that come through. Like there's never any fear that the water will run out. It's because it's continually flowing. And that might be, as this coming up as a challenge, something that you find you have to overcome or face a lot of fear around, because you could be experiencing a lot of success or people coming to you and you worry about, but can I actually offer them, you know, this, is this sustainable for me? Like, am I worthy of experiencing this much exposure for what I'm sharing? Oh, it's kind of deep, but I feel like with the Hermit being on this Capricorn card, it's like, but you are rooted, like you've been building this foundation of light, right? Like from your own inner luminosity, from your own inner journey that you have been going on. And this card is really reflecting that to me, that there isn't anything to be feared here, and you were sort of been preparing yourself for this for a very long time. I just, like, if you're needing the reminder that you are really needed, and whatever it is that you are offering the collective, it's incredibly valuable and like very, very, very needed. And if it feels overwhelming to actually get support after a long period of feeling alone on this journey, or from being like recognized in some way, or for long held dreams that you've had to start flowing into your life in more direct ways, let this reading be something that just tells you that's actually, that is correct. You know, like things are balancing back in that direction in a way that is beneficial for everyone, and not to be like, to know that you're capable of holding it, because you are in integrity here, and you don't have to be afraid of yourself and your own reactions to that level of power, because you understand, like, I am just this bird, right? I am this bird with something to offer, flying through the sky with these berries, and like, if someone is drawn to me and plucks one off, that's great, right? I keep going on my journey and I keep blooming for others, and it's just this ongoing process, and there's no fear there. There's no like trying to take the other birds and say, now you owe me something. It's just like this greater understanding of the amount of beauty, of wisdom, of spirit, all the things that you have alchemized in your life, like coming to a head in this way that other people can really benefit from at this time. And it's actually becoming something that is like wanting to shower you then with other positive dreams or things coming through that maybe you never even imagined were possible for you, or you like envisioned or desired. So I understand when we reach these levels that it can be really confusing and difficult to even fully accept, like, wow, this is my experience. Like, am I allowed to have this? Like, yes, you are. Absolutely. And it's important, actually. That actually makes me feel like that's why there was something that I was getting the sense of there's multiple doorways, because this actually feels like yet another doorway that it will be. It's like that will be had. Like once you start moving and walking through this one of truly offering more of yourself, then it's like the star card is creating an entire new doorway and portal for you to step through. That feels like infinite potentials here, honestly. which is really cool for that to be like the challenge. So maybe just dealing with your own sense of limitations, honestly, is like for whatever that next step is. But like clearly focus here first on the things that I've brought up. But you're well on your way, obviously, here. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the reading here. This was really wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me today and for watching the reading. If you liked this, feel free to subscribe. I would love to have y'all as part of the channel to be a part of the little community here. And hopefully I will see y'all in another reading. And yeah, that's all. I love you. See you soon. Bye. Hey, group 3. Y'all chose this card and the number 1 here. So put up there. So we're looking at what is this next door that you are passing through or about to pass through? What's the key to opening it? What are some blessings and challenges that will come once you walk through that doorway? So with that, we will just begin. So you got the Queen. This is very, oh, we have the moon on there too. That's beautiful. This feels resonant with like Empress energy and like a full moon, right? Like it's making me feel like pregnancy. Maybe that is relevant for some of you. But just kind of entering a chapter of life where there's a lot of fertility in the many ways that word can express itself, right? Where you're feeling less like a need to make moves in the world and more a sitting back energy and receiving from whatever you've put out thus far. It was interesting when I was meditating on the reading before, I saw like someone like smelling a rose and being kind of intoxicated by it, but then getting like pricked by it. I was thinking of that, what is that painting of like the woman like smelling the rose? I think it's William Waterhouse, a William Waterhouse painting. But yeah, I get the sense that this doorway is one of becoming more like magnetic and more like feeling more like lush. Just feeling more magnanimous, all these things that you would think of with a queen. Also being one who can, because the queens rule over, right? And there's this sense of generosity and sharing, and being wise and being one who looks out for their, community and those who they rule over. So there's this sense here of being a leader in a way that is very aligned and beautiful and bringing those qualities and virtues to other people in ways that can be really nurturing and healing, especially in the emotional sense of that. Yeah, so if that's resonating, let's look at the key to opening this door for you. Oh, and we have the number 1 there. So I just want to talk about that before we do this too. Like with the number 1, obviously this is making me feel like working on ourselves, right? The beginning of a new cycle. This is kind of saying this, like a queen, but maybe you don't have someone who would represent like the other like part of that dual system, which is like the king figure, right? But it's more understanding like this doorway is one of approaching and being fully embodied in our own personal power and sense of harmony and sense of deep satisfaction of self is what I'm getting from this as well, to the point then that the other piece of that is drawn in, whether that's like whatever that's representing for you when you hear that. It could be a person or an opportunity or something like that that is then kind of magnetized to you in that way. Yeah. Okay. So with that, what is the key to unlocking this doorway right now for the collective who are watching pile 3? And I feel too, just quickly, that thorn. I was thinking of that in seeing the Queen as like when our rulers get too caught up, right, in the self. So there's this balancing that also needs to happen of making sure that when we do step into these leadership roles that we're doing so with integrity and not getting so overwhelmed or like overcome by the pleasure of things that we forget our responsibility and the accountability of being in that elevated position. Yeah. Okay. So what is the key to unlocking this? What's the key for pile 3 to unlock this Queen? This deck is very hard to shuffle. It's so big. Sense there. There's the key. And stability, yes. This is great as the key. It makes a lot of sense to me when we're talking about this card, the Queen, because the 10th house, right, is the highest point in the birth chart. And it's like this, like the high, where the sun is, right, at the very top of the sky of that day, however high it was able to get. And it signals fame, success. It's the things that it's like our reputation, the things we're remembered for over this time period of our lives, like the things that stay in terms of how we are seen in the world. And so, yeah, it's like our successes and also could be failures too. It just depends, right? But for this to be the key and for the earth element to come through, it is calling again that sensuality that was coming through at the beginning. And even with the, like, yeah, just like the idea of really getting into the pleasures, but not to the point where it's harming us, I guess, is what I would say there, or harming maybe our fame, how people are looking at us. But I feel like for these to be the key cards, it's kind of like you diving into and building naturally, calling in or creating things in your life based on what you find pleasurable, like what pleases your senses, creating the environments that are most peaceful, that draw other people to you, like that will naturally draw in this more 10th house reputation. They're working hand in hand, and whatever that means for you. This could mean that you are an artist of some sort, right? And the things that you find interest in and want to materially create with your hands, like maybe you are a potter or something, or I don't know, it's just feeling like your art, however that's being expressed then, is part of this 10th house, how you're being seen, and it is creating this more like deeper magnetism, and it is the key to actually unlocking greater forms of being able to come into this place of more leadership in your life in a way that's actually in integrity, where it's not dismissing the things that you consider pleasurable, but it's also not forgetting that you are creating a legacy, and you also want to be standing and rooted in your own life in a way that feels connected to your values as well, because that feels very Empress, is like being very clear on your own sense of morality, and that being like such a driving point of all that is like then resonant to you and coming into your life. It's like a garden. I'm just thinking too, like maybe you are literally creating a new garden or something, and deciding what plants you want to have there. And so it's sort of like you've planted the seeds and now you're laying back and seeing, like maybe you have perennials in your garden, right? Like, and so that's 10th house, like it's lasting. And those are the things that you will be able to enjoy, and maybe you're then also sharing some of those with your larger community or something. I don't know. It's a whole metaphor, right? But that could, you know, be a metaphor that can be applied to any part of our lives. Like whatever it is that you personally are finding this deep satisfaction in a material way, in a pleasure way, in a sensory way, all of that is directly working to as the key point. It's like coming together. It's like that is calling in this energy here, helping you walk through that doorway. It could also be other people standing in that way in their highest point in their chart, right? Like other famous people or folks who have a lot of recognition are maybe good influences or reminding you of this particular path that you're taking that feels really right to you. But take that however it resonates for your story there. So I'm gonna use this deck, what the blessings are coming through this doorway, and also what some challenges might be. So what blessings might group 3 see? Yeah. Ace of Wands, 9 of Coins. That's beautiful. Okay, and this feels like, I just heard like rebirth of pleasure, rebirth of self-guided, like sensual experience of life. Really tapping into your own divine essence that guides you through the material in a way that you can experience feeling alive, that is a joy and not like a drag. I don't know. And how that absolutely makes other people happy. I'm even thinking of like makeup artists on you know, TikTok or Insta or whatever, like who just post these reels of their incredible creations that they make on their physical body, you know, and how it's just like such a pleasurable and like joyful thing to watch to see, things like that. I don't know, maybe that relates somehow for you. Okay, so what are challenges I might be seeing through this doorway? Queen of Wands. Okay. So we have like on this side, this 9 of Coins, which feels like the like strong, independent, I just heard strong, independent woman, but like obviously gender is whatever, you know, insert whatever gender resonates. We also have the Queen here. So this feels like a like empowered feminine energy. So it's interesting that the Queen of Wands is coming through as a challenge. And getting into kind of the like more gender piece of this, like we could see the Ace of Wands is like the most phallic card in the tarot. So it is interesting. It's like maybe the blessing is you coming into this place of more embodying masculine driving energy, right? Where you feel like you're able to move forward towards goals and accomplish things and like conquer anything that feels like it's in the way, to the point that this is like entrepreneurial energy to an extreme degree where there's a lot of success possible. And it's interesting with the Queen of Wands coming as a challenge, because there might then be this kind of like need to balance out the more passive energy with the more active energy, because there could be a confusion of like, okay, but am I literally now this person who is leading myself towards burnout because I'm trying to create this life for myself, where like it's this like I feel like I'm in this queen energy, but am I actually, or am I like burning up? It's kind of, I guess that is, it's like the rose with the thorn, right? And so it's like embracing the benefits of the situation, and then with this challenge, like being continually asking yourself, like, am I empowered? Is what is happening to me, is like reaching a certain level of fame, does that actually feel like it's honoring to me, to my like holiness, to my divine nature, to the essence and the spark of who I am that is emanating from me into my creations in this life? Like, is it honoring me? I just keep hearing like that is the question to continue to ask yourself, and it could potentially be a challenge to unpack or understand what that is. Maybe this is also pointing to more of a spiritual journey that you're going to be set on through this whole experience, which is kind of interesting. Like the challenge, this is cool. Like the last reading as well, it almost felt like the card on the challenge side is like another doorway to walk through. So this could potentially be what is leading you into a deeper level of spiritual awakening by going through this much more material, what feels like way more material, with all this earth here, and then the 10th house, which is Capricorn, so another earth sign, and like all of this kind of pentacles energy and the passion around the material realm, like moving through all of that energy, then bringing up this new challenge of how do I actually though embody my divine spark? Like how do I step into being the deeply empowered human or divine being who's like having a human experience, I guess is what I would say. And like what are the steps to even that? But I feel like this challenge is good to take note of, but that this blessing coming through is one that's meant to be fully embraced and appreciated, like going all in, like really moved through until you reach the point when you feel the satisfaction is starting to wane a bit, and then it's time for the next thing, right? But to truly allow yourself to go there to this place of like, wow, look what I've created. That's what this feels like. That's what this queen energy really, really feels like to me, is like, look at what I have put together in my life. Like, how incredible is that? And with these blessings of the Ace of Wands and this 9 of Pentacles, it just like, that is going to be so generative and beautiful, and showing up in your immediate environment in a really like distinct way, and it's clearly recognizable in the material world. So don't worry too much about this piece, I would say, until you have fully walked through the blessing, right? We need to let it's just like, it's like, I love how like sensual this reading feels. It's like really wanting to like sink in to the things. It's almost like we need to understand what, it's like you're coming to a place of understanding fully what it is that gives you satisfaction, at least at this point in your life, and how important that is to know and getting clear on, because it helps you determine also what your values are, and what matters to you. And when we discover what those things are, we see like, oh my gosh, like me actually being honest with myself about that helps draw other people to me who can appreciate that and who might really value and honor those things too. And they're supposed to be part of my path at this point. It just opens up so many different things. And this could also, like with the Queen, of course, being that like in that leadership role around these more, around these themes, right? Of creating beauty and pleasure in your own life and in the lives of others as well. So I think I'm gonna leave it right there. I really liked this. This was a really like interesting and beautiful energy to come through. Definitely leave a comment if this is resonating. I'm curious of what it is that you are, how you're relating this in your own life. Yeah, and if you watched this far, like feel free to subscribe. I would love to have you here. I'm still a very small channel, and I would love to have more people have access to the readings, so that always helps me to subscribe or share or like the video, all the things. Y'all know what's up. And with that, I will leave you here. I send a lot of blessings through this eclipse coming in a few days, and yeah, love you. Bye.